threaten to not even make a playoffs would certainly not be the way to go, and they want to rewrite the destiny right now, rewrite fate, as it were. It's not quite the future, so things yet to be decided. Temple of Anubis ready to go now, Blank attacking first, Nova defending first.
All right, so they're going to set up on the front platform here. They've got the Orisa ready to go. Interestingly, the Brigitte, which is, I say interesting because often, you know, you've got people like your Widow, your Junkrat able to move themselves around on the back platforms, and it's very hard for the Brigitte to, you know, heal them. I guess the med pack, you know, it goes across quite a distance, but the Inspire.
This is where we usually see a Hog in the play, so for Blank Esports, they drop the Hog on the Zenyatta side for Tung playing Zenyatta, and this time around, Oreo is going to be on Brigitte instead of Hog, and we'll see if Blank Esports can make a successful rotation to assault this high ground positioning. And that's one thing that Oreo can do quite well is when Blank want to dive, the Shield Bash should be coming on through and already taking a decent amount of space. CKM taking a decent amount of damage, but they have cleared the high ground. Nova have been forced back.
Yep, here we see Nexus on the point, just trying to hold it down. He's already lost his Widowmaker here. You can see they've been forced into quite an unfavorable defensive position here. It's giving Huss a lot of room to work on this Widowmaker. As long as his shield goes down, he's about to start hitting some headshots.
Good news for Nova is they've got a decent ground composition. It gets a little less decent when Oreo goes down, does get resurrected back into play. Blank currently have the surround over this entrenched position that Nova are attempting to continue with their defense.
Ooh.
Collecting Korra with the Riptire may swing things in Nova's favor right now, but they've already lost a tick. Blank are backing out. They've lost too many. This is a reset. Nova might have the opportunity to reset up on high ground as well.
Man, that was a turtle if I ever saw one. They do not crack the shell. They get some scratches onto it, but once they were inside that room next to the point there, they really struggled to push through Blank Esports, and they're going to have to try again. I guess, you know, they really just couldn't defeat the Orisa's barrier there. There's so much shield up time.
Well, Blank didn't quite have enough ultimates, and this time around they do. A lot more important ultimates as well. There's a lot of important ultimates defensively for Nova Esports. Let's also remind viewers, Riptide was used previously.
And they've got to get through before this rally comes up from Oyo.
Well, that would be ideal, certainly. The rally wouldn't be the end of the world because Blank Esports can kind of respond with a Transcendence, but right now Trill a bit of trouble, does have to play more early. Oyo going down just before the rally comes on through. CKM making short work of him. Pekka onto one as well, and suddenly point A has been opened up. Just Nexus. Shiki might still be there as well, but neither of those members are going to do too much to stop Blank from capping through.
Yeah, it looks like they will take point A now. The Supercharger goes down as well right at the end. Obviously, Nova wanting to switch off onto the Winston, so maybe he wanted to do that anyway, and it was fine. You got to remember, you know, the Orisa patch hasn't gone through yet for Contenders, so they don't have that reduced 15% ultimate charge to make it a little bit easier.
We do have one of your favorite heroes here, the Doomfist, coming back out for one. And defensively, we know the power of this pick so far. Oreo retaining that rally from the last fight is going to be reasonably pleased to be able to use it this time around because Blank Esports themselves, now swapping pass onto the own Brigitte, has got a fresh ultimate one already picking up Trill. Is bad news for Blank Esports. They do get a counter trade onto Oyo, but currently losing two, losing Kura, no res available. This is a huge cleanup for one. Himself getting the majority of the kills, himself 2/3 of the way to an ultimate.
Yeah, Nexus was pretty valuable in gaining the space there as well. Bad news, Gorillas, for Blank Esports as they push out. They do have a couple of supportive ultimates looking back in. They've got 4 minutes and 40 seconds on the time bank here, so plenty of time to make a play, plenty of time to get the other 3 ultimates up. They've got a couple. They're not huge playmaking ones at the moment. They might want to build all of those up before they make one big push for this point.
We'll see what happens this time around because Nova have been kind of bleed dry of ults. Shiki and one are kind of close. We'll see if Shiki can make some magic happen. He's been a bit of a playmaker on the King's Road, but we're not on King's Road anymore. Oyo going to take down his counterpart on Huss. Here comes a Dragon Strike. CKM so far doing a decent amount of damage. Huss back into the action as well. And for Blank Esports, if they can get a number of kills, this could be the swing they need.
Yeah, wow, Huss getting brought back to life there, I think, by Kura, which allows all 6 of them to get onto the point. They're going to have to deal with Blue's Dragon Blade now here. Even the Biotic Orb managing to pick up a kill. So Nova, they're really looking to get back into this, even if one needs to. He's got that, the Meteor Strike, and he does take down Kura, and that will be the end of Blank's aggression.
Huss going down is only one support. There were two other supports alive for Blank Esports. The sustain is still there for them to continue to push. But once one finds his targets, gets Kura down, gets Tongue down, it's lights out for Blank. They don't have enough heals to keep them into the fight. Huss now going to switch onto the Sombra. It looks like they want to play the long game here. One will respond with his own Sombra. Of course, you don't want to be playing a Doomfist into a Sombra. So right now, it's going to be Hack Wars, it's going to be EMPs. And for Huss, we'll see if he can charge it faster, or if it's going to be one charging faster.
So who gets the hack on the Mega Health Pack under the bridge? That's the key with the Sombra v Sombra Wars on Anubis.
Should be one because he has, obviously, the B spawn to work with. CKM has to be very considerate now as well. There's multiple ways for him to get shut out of this Dragon Blade. If he gets hacked down, if he gets stunned up. Speaking of being stunned up, Chill did go down. Oyo trading his own life for that, but he will respawn quicker. So a 1-to-1 trade, you'll take it if you're Nova Esports. A 1-for-2, not so much. And right now, CKM wants to see if he can make a 1-for-3. A couple more members that go down. The Dragon Strike was not interrupted. Tongue now still available with the Transcendence Core. The Valkyrie already popped. Huss will be close to the EMP as well. This could be now the cap out from Blank Esports. Not really seeing a response from Nova. One going down means a very late EMP. Crazy's already into damage control mode. It's going to be the Mei following through. Primal Rage eventually used by Nexus, but so many members have already gone down. We've already seen 2 ticks go through as well. Blue, again, another death, does not use the Dragon Blade.
One could get the EMP up though. If he can get a great EMP off, he does pull the trigger. Blue's not there to capitalize with the Dragon Bait, unfortunately, but Oyo's got the Hellfire shotguns right in the face of Blank. This is going to take a couple of kills down. Blue finally comes back in with that Dragon Blade and he's making it work. I think they've killed enough Blank Esports members here to push them after the point, after they got up to 92%.
It could still be enough for Blank Esports, but they are running out of time. And a lot of this coming through the fact that Nova Esports had some members alive that did live long enough. You see their damage control plan was pretty sound. Mei, Reaper, Primal Rage coming through at the right time as well, just in the nick of time, you'd have to say. But maybe if they came out through a little bit early, they wouldn't have lost 2 ticks. 2 ticks is very good for Blank to work with.
That said, because they got those stall kills and they managed to push Nova out from the point for quite a while, we do see an overwhelming ultimate advantage now from Blank. Huss managed to get his EMP up a lot faster. And if they push in this window, the 50% one's got and 40%, now 30 until that next EMP, they're running out of time. They've got to get in before that.
They're definitely in right now. Triple ultimates being used, EMP included. If a Blank Esports leaving nothing at the door, this is cap complete. Nova Esports, they've left the point, Genome. That is a very unfortunate ending for their defense. But for Blank, you'll take pretty much anything you can get right now in 58 seconds remaining. This was very easily a potential fight that could have gone into the overtime. And Nova Esports will not be happy about not pushing it into the overtime because...
Nova Esports have left the building. I wonder if that was... Maybe Huss got in there with the Sombra? I know, obviously, with the new changes coming to Sombra, she doesn't proc the point when she's in stealth.
That would be one patch later than this.
Yeah, so I think
we're not quite
in this one,
yet.
Sombra's still...
We're at 1.24, so Sombra rework is a little bit more recent than that. So in 1.24, Sombra still does contest. She doesn't quite have the permanent invisibility. Well, actually, I got a replay here to see exactly what happens. So EMP comes through, Cap is following in, tanks are leaving the point to try and get healed, trying to get health packs. And I think both teams are kind of stumped there as to exactly how that transcended because it was a little bit strange, and Nova themselves going to be, unfortunately, on the receiving end of not contesting.
Quite a fun little play there from Huss, obviously, just taking them from behind by surprise and winning the point out with that. Well done. A great use of the EMP, really. Obviously, once the tanks get hacked, they can no longer use their shift abilities. They can't get quickly back to the point, and with the Winston going down quite quickly and the Diva losing her mech, there was really any opportunity for that either. And this was, it was a little bit of a symptom, right, of Nova wanting to get aggressive. So many times they pushed way up out of that point, trying to take Blank by surprise. And this worked on King's Row. We saw it time and time again be a very effective tactic. But on this occasion, it's led to them losing that last third.
Well, this is where the groundwork really comes into effect for Blank Esports, because the previous fight had been so successful getting themselves 2 ticks, in fact even greater than they had 90+%.
And the ultimates.
That's why it worked out so well, and for Nova Esports just, didn't quite have eyes onto the prize, and this time we'll have to make things a little bit different. A point in their attack going to come through, full dime, and for Blank Esports, it's going to be the poke comp, and they will not be running as Zengarde, they will be running the hog on Tongue.
Yeah, looks like Huss is well settled in the background. He's got lots of protection there. You see Pekka and CKM both willing to peel for their Widowmaker. Even the Tracer there, Blue, just going so deep, trying to take out Huss, but they can't do it. He's protected on so many sides.
A lot of team shooting come through as well. The Venom Mine even picking one up. So far not been a very successful push for Nova Esports, but I will say they at least have the spawn advantage. So if Blank want to end this, they need some more kills. They need to be able to get a lot more kills than Nova can trade back. Nova in a kind of interesting position. Half their time is still roughly, half the team rather is roughly committed. They're still in the section. Us taking down one though is going to make sure the reinforcements do not connect.
Yeah, it's going to be a really big deal. This allows Blank an opportunity if they want to run into that room and try and deal with Nova. It looks like they're going to be a little more patient though. They're going to hopefully maybe just pick off all the reinforcements as they come through and just leave Nova in there.
Well, that's kind of the goal of the composition. They don't quite have the dive capability to go into that room, so they'd rather play what is safe, which is to again pile up onto this defense, get onto the high ground, Fort Knox it up here, and make it impenetrable. For Nova Esports, they have to lick their wounds a little bit and retry this attack.
Yeah, Huss just the guard for Fort Knox there, sitting in the watchtower, very safe up there. It doesn't matter how much Nova Esports seem to throw at him. Blank have the defenses to pile on and make sure he is not alone. So many friends. The Riptire now coming out from Blank.
Yeah, there's a lot of players ready for the pick. CKM finds it in one. Not too sure if Crazies can get the res onto that so far. And we've also seen Blue on the Tracer attempt to pressure Huss out, but unsuccessfully. Huss has been reading his plays, reading his positioning, and pushing him backwards. And for the rest of Blank's defense, staying where they are, unmoved, unfazed.
Yeah, he's got the Infrasider, he's got a well-placed Venom Mine, which now gives you that, sort of a mini Infrasider onto one character, whoever it manages to hit. One is going to go in with the Dragon Blade, and he does find CKM. This is a great start to the fight for Nova. Can they crack through here?
This is the thing, because there is no Transcendence, because there is no Zenyatta. Tongue didn't have the whole hog ready in time to push one away. He does have it now. He will combo that one up with Korra. He will combo up that one with Trill as well. Double damage boost onto the whole hog. We're still struggling to see kills. Nova Esports just do not care at all. They're cleaning up all these members, and for Blank Esports, after losing their initial members after CKM goes down, the response not quite good enough. Used all their ults and did not get the result.
Were they using ultimates, or were they just having a little party in the corner with the bongos? I mean, it's kind of what it looked like at the end there. They're too busy having a good time to defend that point A. Blank are going to lose that. It was a decent first point defense though. Let's give them some credit for that. They've taken quite a lot of time off the clock, and now Huss is going to switch over to the Sombra, make sure they've got that health pack control.
This first push is the most dangerous, and you see why right now, because Nova, the snowball pressure, Blank did not have the time to set up this defense properly. Members still attempting to get back into spawn. Korra attempting to res, will be punished right now. And CKM not going to do any better than Korra either. For Blank Esports right now, look at that cap meter, we're nearly there. And for Blank, this is a huge disaster right now. Huss attempting to get on the point in time, collects the hack onto the health pack, but I don't think that's going to be really helpful because the rest of the kills are still going in the way of Nova. Blank still do not have enough members to defend. They are struggling to maintain.
Yeah, Huss one melee away from getting the Genji there. He doesn't manage to get him, and it's crucial. Look how many kills one has come up with at the tail end of this fight. Finally, they get off the point, and we're on to the next round now. Oof, Blank at least have 1 minute in the time bank, but it's not a lot. 58 seconds gets bumped up by 2, and Nova are going to have an overwhelming advantage going in here. The one glimmer of light here is that Blank had a great first point defense, and if they can replicate that, there's still a chance for them to take out this map.
And let's talk about the fact that for Nova Esports as well, they themselves did not contest the point that gave Blank Esports this time bank opportunity. First of all, the fact that we are in time bank. The second point, the fact that Blank even have time to work with. Had this been even a completed push for Blank Esports in overtime, they would be the ones attacking, or rather defending this entire point for 3 minutes and 57 seconds, where Nova Esports only have to cap 1/3. Nova then can get the victory potentially, and Blank can only hope for a draw. This allows Blank to maintain presence in the game. If we were in that scenario, Blank would already lose. A draw for Blank here would be a loss in this best of 4 or 4-map series. So Blank, by themselves, a lot of opportunities. 1 minute is not a lot of time, but it is enough time to keep Blank in the game.
just enough, AVRL. Only just. They have to absolutely nail this first attack. If they lose it, we're likely going to see them get into that ultimate deficit and really struggle from there. You know, we're going to see Tongue actually bring out the Ana here. We've got a Genji Doomfist.
It's a Hail Mary.
This is really something special coming out from Blank here.
And it's fist on fist as well. One on the other side going to be responding, and neither Doomfist player knows it right now. For Blank Esports, if they're quick about this, maybe they can lose one fight, come back for a second fight, but they need to engage quickly. One already onto the back line.
No.
Shiki already punishing Trill, and so far we're not seeing any kills coming out from Blank. 2 members down. Blank got to reset fast. They can't afford to lose too many members. They cannot afford to be staggered.
This is really rough. Losing Trill at the start isn't the end of everything. Often a Winston can push in and buy you a little bit of space, but the follow-up kills, they go to Nova. Blank don't manage to get through there, and now we see them even... This is like a Hail Mary off a Hail Mary. They're going onto a Widowmaker. They need to get the headshots. That's the only way they can do this because they don't have the ultimates.
Well, they have to be able to play this very carefully now. Note that someone also has to touch the point. One taking Huss down is not a great start for Blank Esports. Shikam going to be punched and pressured out. It's not all over though. Zenyatta, Tongue, oh, maybe it's starting to look a little bit more over after that kill. You got to think for Blank Esports, too much to do all at once, too many fires to put out. You have to be able to dislodge Nova Esports off the high ground. You have to be able to touch the point. Blank could do neither, and for that, they will not be able to cap this point. The overtime completes. No progress for Blank Esports, but Genome, there is still a Blank defense. But now they have to do basically the impossible, and I do also want to say right now, the best Blank can achieve after this is a draw, which in this series means that going into a map 4, I mean, actually, I need to rethink about this. I actually really need to rethink about this for a second because
yeah, that'll be 1-1, a draw.
You're correct because it is
the
a
last
1-1.
game will
So actually now Blank have a bit more than just a chance. They have a lot more of a chance. That being said, though, the draw scenario is not going to be the end of their season run so far. Being at match point, or rather giving Nova Esports match point, might do it to them soon. Still not quite out of the water for Blank Esports, but they have gotten themselves another lifeline.
Now, I think what we've seen here on point A on Anubis, at the moment in the meta, it really does seem like you need a lot of time to set up an attack on point A, right? You see Genjis and Widows flanking all the way around, Doomfists as well, sometimes with the Mercy following to pocket. And with only 1 minute in the time bank, Blank just really didn't have the opportunity to pull apart Nova, to make some of their pieces move around and really set the chessboard up the way they wanted to get through there. With 1 minute, it's very hard to do that. They had to have a straight dive in, and we just saw that doesn't work at all. Nova, at least, with 4 minutes, they've got time to make those kind of adjustments and really play with Blank a little bit before they have to make that critical incision onto the point.
I'll say in terms of adjustments here as well, Tongue, not going to be starting out onto the Roadhog. I think he kind of learnt, or at least Blank as a whole kind of learnt from that last defense on A, where unfortunately once Nova Esports had the ultimates to play with, Blank really understood the relevance of a Transcendence. Now Tongue's going to need to do his best to try and get it in time, and there's not a lot of time.
And we've already seen a big switch over from the first time Blank defended this point, where it was Huss able to stay away from that Widowmaker for quite some time. This time, the rest of Blank is so far under pressure that they're not able to keep up with it. Blank fall down immediately.
Yeah, and as the final members are going to go down for Blank Esports, the tick's going to go up for Nova Esports, collecting themselves the victory on Temple of Anubis, and things are unfortunately not looking that much better for Blank Esports, but they are looking absolutely fantastic for this young Taiwanese squad. I've got to remind people as well, Nova Esports coming in through as Logitech Giabang in Season 1. We're not even a professional team. We're one of the few, I would say, true amateur teams in Contenders Pacific. Now coming on through, now really taken up to Blank. They've had a pretty decent season so far, and they want to make it a better one yet. And so far, only 1 map away from getting the 3-1 victory.
And, you know, if they're able to, you know, push it against such a veteran team like Blank, then maybe they really do deserve that space in the playoffs.
And they're looking for it, and Blank are looking to fight back. 1 more map, potentially. Blank are going to have to go to a map 5 here. That's going to be still, again, not a good place for them to be in. They have to win 2 maps in a row. and over Esports looking more and more comfortable. And I think, you know, there was a lot of glimmers, certainly some glimmers of hope there for Blank Esports. When you look at their attack and you think, okay, they managed to fully complete this one. Look at their defense and you think, the A hold was very convincing. Go on to B, though, that first snowball push from Nova Esports really just put the lid onto Blank, and giving themselves such an extreme time bank to such a small time bank was, I guess, the kind of nail that finishes off that coffin, right?
It's something that all teams struggle with, though, right? It doesn't matter. You're an OWL, if you're a plat team. Honestly, people struggle holding that first push on any point B of any assault map, and it's something they need to work on. How do you give yourself those little advantages where you can fight back when you don't have the ults, when you've got 3 or 4 people swapping off to different heroes and trying to make it up there? That's definitely something these teams have got to work out. And Blank obviously not able to solve the puzzle this time.
And, you know, waiting for miracles as well. Maybe Blank come through in the time bank and get that cap. If they can at least get some progress, right, more than 1/3, get a second third, reach the 90% mark, maybe get that A attack completed and finish a cap, that would have given them some more to work with on their A defense. But when we look at that A defense and time bank again, they kind of falter quite quickly. You got to say a lot of defensive teams, in fact, pretty much every defensive teams, if you lose that many members that quickly, doesn't matter how much time you have on that timer, the cap will come through. You will not respawn in time to contest. So
it really felt like, you know, Nova, they were the ones making the adaptations, because we went to, you know, after that first attack, Huss, he was getting so much peel on the first time around, but the second time around, he couldn't. You know, there was just too much pressure on the front line for, you know, a Diva and a Junkrat and a Mercy to peel back for him. And it really felt like Nova just examined their problems there and moved on.
We did see there, Route 66 is going to be the next map coming in. That is, of course, Blank's pick as well. And you did see the pieces start to come through for Blank. And I think, again, the most successful part of that defense was on the A point. And you see, you know, when that defense really starts to come together, how well they played it for the most part, how much Nova struggled initially to get through. It only sort of came through for them once the ultimates came in. So I think for Blank, if they can tap back into that, get back into that zone and really sharpen things up, we could see a potential full hold. But again, the timing to do so is ever so small now. One map to get it done, one map for Nova to complete the series.
You do have to say, though, the initial setup for a Route 66 defense, it's actually quite similar to how you set up on the Anubis defense. However, you've got a little more space for that Widowmaker to work with. So if Huss can set up in a similar way there, he might actually be able to start picking off some Nova Esports players and not require as many resources as we saw in that first hold to really make things happen. Just free up a little more defense. Nova, of course, they're going to be defending first. This time looks like Blank will be on the attack.
The thing about Nova Esports so far is they've been mainly favoring dive. If you look at most of their compositions across now, I will say with the exception of King's Row, where dive is realistically not the most popular composition to run and maybe not even the most effective, but you look at the majority of Temple of Anubis, where Blank have preferred to run a more slow setup style with tanks. Nova just want to get in there, and they're going to repeat the same thing now on Route 66, and Blank will go to meet them.
Yeah, I think there was a Winston bubble coming out immediately from Trill there to stop any jump shots from Blue. He does that successfully.
Didn't stop that one.
But CKM, he just runs straight into it.
Yeah, CKM not going to have himself a barrier there. Does get himself resurrected back in, though, courtesy of Kura, so the fight will continue, and for Blank, the momentum will at least continue for the time being. Some minor slowdown on the cart, but nothing to really stop it for right now.
Nova just a little bit of poke there. They're happy to pull back and find a second defensive position. Huss looking for the hard shot. Hits it, but doesn't quite grab the head. If you can find this Zenyatta at the back, that would do a lot to start this off and probably initiate the fight for Blank. This is where they look to get really aggressive. You see the damage boost coming out from him as well, but unfortunately just not quite grabbing these shots.
Well, the good news is he's doing enough damage at least to pressure Nova out, and that's allowing guys like CKM to pick up the remainder of the kills. But unfortunately, his counterpart, the Tracer on the other side, one has done an even greater job. Had the Pulse Bomb ever so slightly early, and that's given him the advantage, given Nova Esports the advantage. Now Blank Esports is starting to come through with the ultimates, but it's already one step behind Nova.
Yeah, they're lagging quite a bit here. We see They've got a nice little defensive position here. They've sort of made a cordon behind this cart here, and it's very hard for Huss to get a shot onto any of them. Somehow, though, CKM's winning out the Tracer duel, and this is going to open things up. They've got the Valkyrie coming out from Crazies now.
Well, what CKM lacked in success for the Pulse Bomber, he did get in that 1 versus 1, and Huss, with that kill into Oyo as well, has drawn the attention of Nexus. Hasn't even gone down yet, and Blue, his counterpart, did go down first, and suddenly Nexus finds himself in a very tough place. Pekka will punish him on the way out, and so far, Nova Esports, without enough responses, will allow Blank to cap this one through with enough car push as well.
And once again, it's CKM. CKM getting that crucial opening pick, the one that really allows Blank to turn the fight around.
Huss, again, see what opening damage he can get. It's been difficult for him to collect a number of kills, but he is, at least with body shots, allowing Nova Esports, or rather allowing Blank Esports to push forward. Gets his counterpart. That's a great start, especially when consider CKM went down. Both Mercies will be pressured to resurrect that one, and for Blank Esports, they have ultimates still to play with, as the car position has been stopped up for the time being. You did see Nexus use the Primal Rage there. Pekka with the self-destruct kill into 1, though, might give Blank the player advantage, especially now that Crazies is down.
I mean, you know, if that was a self-destruct so that you can get back in the mech there, getting a kill off that is just a bonus there for Blank Esports. It'll buy them a little bit of time. They get through this initial bridge. That's definitely a good outcome from them. They are not going to have the infrasight here, which is a little bit annoying. They don't know which door Nova's going to come out. They're just going to have to use their headphones there, try and spot it out with some sound.
Well, Huss did get a bit of a blue, at least in that opening shot. Didn't quite find the kill, but it has been difficult for Huss. So far, self-destruct not going to be as good this time around from Shiki. And CKM's going to make his bomb count. And now Huss is going to make his bullets count too, and for Blank Esports, Transcendence coming out into play. Nova Esports running out of options. Their own Transcendence being popped, but not quite getting the same results. CKM, Kura, or rather CKM, Trill, and Pekka also collecting kills among the muck. And for Blank Esports, easy team fight win. Nothing too difficult there for Nova Esports, starting to lose control ever so quickly.
That was some great focus there from Blank. You saw them really just systematically pick off the targets one by one. The Terminator reticle turns up and they just go through them.
We'll see what kind of opening that Blank can get again. It's been a lot of Nova pushing against this brick wall of Blank Esports, and they've failed at multiple turns. Now Blank have not been deterred. They have not been fully reset for some time. Blue goes down, Blue gets res, but CKM takes down 1, so still Nova Esports at a player disadvantage. With the infrasight out though, Nova at least going to be free to move around without being spotted.
And a nice little Venom mine there from Huss lets him know that Blue is on the flank. They eliminate that option, and they also get around the corner.
Oh, Nexus. So low as well. You see, he wanted to make the initiation play, couldn't quite do it. One's tired of Huss's shenanigans. The deflect headshot onto him has maybe allowed Nova Esports to get this counter push in now. Finally, this defense coming into effect, but we're not seeing additional kills. Tongue back into action. CKM picking up Oyo, and still ultimates available. CKM now looking to place this pulse bomb. Would love to find a tank with it. The Blank Esports, ooh, CKM finally goes down. Trill does not have, or now uses the Primal Rage. I actually kind of questioned this. I was about to say, did not use the Primal Rage, compliment him for not using the Primal Rage, but now it has to use the Primal Rage just to get out.
Yeah, and that's definitely not the spot you want to be using it in. It needs to be that stall. It needs to be pushing Nova back into spawn. That would be the optimal usage of it there. I mean, possibly at this point, you could switch over to something else. You've already got the Brigido. Why not start bringing out the Reinhardt? Maybe even the Zaya here on this last point. These contracted third points on escort maps sometimes really, you know, lend themselves to that sort of composition. A nice eat there. The pulse bomb goes begging.
And Shiki gonna eat that one up and feed it towards his own bomb to be used later on. Nexus, Primal Rage coming out to play. 1 with the rocket punch onto Tongue, which means Transcendence out of the fight now for Blank Esports. Kura attempting to res has been disrupted. And this is now turning very sour for Blank very quickly. Further members going down, staggered kill into CKM. 2 minutes and 5 seconds remaining. And Blank are now into the sort of area where they do not have too many attempts remaining.
Here we go, Trill onto the Reinhardt. CKM will switch across to the Hunza, and we do have the Zaya combo ready to go. The change is being made. I think this is a good one, especially with 2 minutes left. It gives them enough time to build up this combo and make it happen. But Wand on this Doomfist has been such a problem. Usually it's a stall pick, but for him, it really seems to make a big difference.
I'll tell you about the other problem as well. Nova Esports have responded. Nexus and Shiki changing onto their own Reinzaya. Blue as well going onto the Hanzo. You want to play Grav Dragon? We're going to play Grav Dragon too. They've also got the defensive positioning, so Nova Esports on the C defense have a spawn advantage. It's going to take a lot of effort for Blank to push on through. Luckily, their ultimates are going to come out ever so quickly. Rally coming out into play. Tongue still with the Transcendence. Tongue with the kill as well. And suddenly, Nova Esports could be flat on their back.
Some Storm Arrows well placed from CKM will remove the Mercy just after the Valkyrie goes up. This is a very big deal for Blank here as they finally get towards the end. Trill getting healed up by a well-timed Transcendence from Tongue and the rally from Huss. Still, those shielded characters have got that armor in backup to get them through this fight.
There's a new combo coming into play. Here comes a grab, but where's the Meteor Strike? Is it going to be the Space Jam? Couple members to be found by one, but it's a couple members that Blank cannot afford to lose at this point in time. 40 seconds now remaining in this defense. Does look like it has been completed. Grav Dragon, I don't think so. One's here to play, has a Meteor Strike to connect with the Grav, and that's going to be enough for Nova.
They've got just enough time. If Pekka can get a couple of clutch barriers off here, he might be able to build up enough energy to get that Dragon Strike in combo with his Graviton Surge. Trill needs to get aggressive here. They need to perhaps eat up one of the rocket punches from Doomfist. This could be a way back into the fight for Blank Esports.
Nexus have got a Shadow ready as well, so if Trill's not careful, and if he does combo with one who can get Trill out of the way, this could be dangerous. One has been taken out, at least for now. It does get resurrected back into play. Overtime into effect. Still waiting to see the Grav Dragon Earthshatter from Nexus. Is going to get Pekka and Trill. That is a disaster. Blank now are not going to be able to complete this combo. CKM throws the Dragon out anyway, but not going to get any results because the Transcendence was available from Oyo. Huss and CKM, the only members available. Trill going to attempt to come and grab this, or rather try and save this point as the Tracer, but look, Blank Esports losing their critical members at the most critical time.
It was very obvious what Nex was going for there. You saw him initiate the sidestep. At that point, when the other Reinhardt is rotating all of the way around you, you know what's coming. It's a shatter, it's a charge, and at that point, your team needs to be shooting him in the back and they need to take him down quickly, or you've got to pull the trigger first. Obviously, he didn't have the Earth Shatter there, but he could have charged him back. That's really the only option at that point. If you let him get around and pull off the Earth Shatter, it's done. You're over. Your team is dead.
And I want to say as well, that was the only realistic option for Nova Esports. They had only an Earth Shatter to work with, no other ultimates at that time. And the Earth Shatter had to work because make or break. If the Earth Shatter does not connect and does not connect onto the right members to then give Nova kills, a lot of steps in this program. Blank Esports are still alive. They still have the correct members. The Grav Dragon still comes through. Oyo maybe gets the Transcendence in time, but it could have gone so badly for Nova Esports, but it went so right.
It was a great hold there on point 3. And considering what we saw of King's Row, I'm not sure 2 points is enough, AVRL. I think Blank might be in trouble here. I think Nova are looking good here to take out the series 3-1.
But considering what we saw in Temple of Anubis, maybe 2 points is still enough for Blank Esports, considering that a point defense was what gave Blank a lot of the early sort of sparks, and we need to be able to see that from Blank again. If they cannot get a full hold on either of these 2 points, it is unlikely to see Blank Esports complete the C defense as well. In fact, it's not unlikely. I would say that teams should be favored to complete the C defense. However, it really will depend on how much resistance Blank can put up on both A and B, because if Nova get a good time, it's not looking good.
Yeah, well, it's a double sniper comp, of course, coming out from Blank Esports here. They are going up against a pretty divey comp coming out of Nova. They do have the Hanzo there to help them out with some extra damage, but if they can really deal with Nexus as he pushes in here, a good, well-placed halt from Trill will stop this happening.
Well, they did deal with Blue. It does get resurrected back into play. And Nova Esports, I should probably say at this point, not unexpected for them to run dive. They've been favoring dive a lot so far across various different maps, but this first dive attempt at least will be unsuccessful. They don't lose any members though, so they got that to rely on.
But the cart's still going.
Now they've lost Blue, which is a little bit of an issue. The cart should get stopped up eventually. Blank are taking some time to address that scenario. Has been paused. Blank Esports just collected a number of kills, a few kills that allow them to do that, and for Nova Esports, no response.
Yeah, pretty disciplined as well. You saw Oyo out the side there. You know, they easily could have jumped onto him. Hus or CKM could have pushed their advantage and tried to get a stagger kill. They don't do that. They hold back. They're happy with their defensive position they've currently got set up, and they're going to have to deal with the dive now.
Well, they've dealt with Oyo, so that's one. Dealt with one as
shot.
well. Hus is now turning alive. Turning on the fire here. CKM as well, making that double sniper work. And Blank Esports, Infrasight had ready to go as well. And they definitely got the mileage out of it. Nova Esports didn't get anything out of that. No kart progress, no kills, nothing out of Blank. Blank are unfazed.
The Widowmaker was something that, you know, really got Hus selected for Australia's World Cup team, and it was on Route 66 during the trials where we saw him pop off. We need him to replicate that performance here if Blank are to stand a chance and halt Nova Esports.
We also need to see CKM alive at this particular moment in time. Fellow World Cup teammate. We do see a Dragon Strike ready and available. Oyo getting killed very early again. Oyo's not having a great time. He's just been barely staying alive. Doesn't even have a Transcendence yet into this game. Because of that, continuous kills coming up from Blank Esports. Dragon from CKM as well. Nova Esports are in one part going to be okay with collecting the Dragon Strike, but on the other part are not going to be too happy about not getting progress.
We haven't seen Blank deal with the Dragon Blades particularly effectively tonight. One seems to be finding the angles, he seems to be finding the gaps in Blank's defense, and he's getting 2-3 kills every time he brings one out. Shutting one down as soon as he unsheathes that blade this time is going to be critical to Blank winning the next fight.
Well, I got some better news for you as well. Tongue with the Transcendence available should do a pretty good job of that also. But we need to see that Trans coming out into play right now, because so far, one has already done some damage. The D-Mech did come on through, and the self-destruct should allow Picker to re-mech. Equal trades so far as Kura went down. And that's not looking too good, because Carroll went down as well. Blank Esports attempting to maintain control right now. Self-destruct from Shiki, not going to find anything. This isn't King's Row anymore. And for Blank Esports, with 1 minute now remaining, will continue to hold.
The stagger? If they get Shiki out of the mech here, this will be horrible, but he just manages to scoot under, even though Diva can't crouch. He's just low enough off the edge of the map there.
Diva can fly under the radar, as it seems.
Yeah, he's got that stealth mode on. Now, Blank Esports, they've done a great defense so far. 36 seconds left. They've only got to grab one more fight. Not many ultimates across the board here. This is an interesting way for a last fight to start. Could just come down to raw mechanics.
Now, this is one ultimate that's actually quite useful. One needs surprise, and he's not going to get any surprise. He's been spotted, but he does do the damage. Tongue still goes down no matter what. Husto still making use of it. Infrasight does collect a number of kills now for Blank Esports in total. CKM on blue as well. For Nova, they're losing all their members. It's just tanks available right now. These tanks will go down soon as well. About to head into the overtime. Don't see a lot of Nova response. And for that, Blank likely to hold on. They do hold on, and they will hold on to the series as well. Now 2-2 tied up in this matchup. And I gotta say, it is going all the way. And both teams are certainly going to go. I mean, they're playing as if they're going all the way as well.
Just in the nick of time. You can feel it. Both teams know what is on the line here. It's a playoff spurt, and they want it. You can see, finally, Blank, they've struggled throughout the middle of this series, but now they're finally coming alive again. And it was definitely part, due to the architecture of the first point on this map. We see both CKM and Hus contributing equally in almost all of those fights. Finally getting those first picks, that's what we were struggling with for the other couple of maps.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because we talked about, again, I wanted to bring up the Temple of Anubis A defense, and that's what that defense looks like when it is concluded properly for Blank, and for that they will be awarded a map win here, pushing us to the Ilios tiebreaker. And once you start seeing that magic come out of Blank, you really start to believe. And I was also going to say, even if Blank had failed to complete the A hold there, it would have still been enough time bled off the clock, an overtime push for Nova Esports, pushing them into B, only giving them, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which is a decent amount of time, but compare that now to what Blank had remaining, and you start to think, even though Nova Esports cap A, it's probably not enough for Nova Esports to go to the end of the map.
No, I think the way they really spaced that out there, just having so much space for their snipers, right? Hus and CKM just doing such a fantastic job up the back, and that's just something about how the first point on Route 66 works, right? It doesn't matter if you've got dive tanks, they still can't reach your snipers up the back. unless they've got a whole 10 seconds to traverse that, right? They've got to jump in, they've got to wait for the cooldown to go, they've got to jump again. It takes an age, and the snipers...
Well, they've got to walk through your team and then jump closer, but
yeah,
you can't exactly do that when
Blank
Esports is holding ground and holding positioning, so very difficult to aggress onto Huss, and they did try. We saw Blue try as the Tracer. We saw the Genjis come through from 1 as well. We saw the Doomfist come out from 1. They got Tongue, but they couldn't get Huss.
So now, how is this going to translate onto Oasis? You know, if we see City Centre, I think that could be a similar outcome.
Ilios.
Sorry, Ilios. If we see Ruins, it's a little bit harder, right? Because you've got that's where you've got there's so much stuff in the way. You know, the snipers have to move around a lot. They don't necessarily have those sight lines to work with. It looks like we're going to be going to Well first. No, Lighthouse, Well.
I'll tell you what, Genome. I'll tell you what does translate well for Blank Esports at least is that 2-0 sweep on Lijiang Tower. If we're going to look at the Control matchup, we're going to look at Control as a game mode. So far, Blank have shown very, very good skill on that, very good coordination. The other thing that we can be quite confident of is Huss's sniping skills on the Widowmaker for Ruins, but like you said, we'll start on Lighthouse first. So can these Fire players make the difference? CKM has had a decent time on Fire so far. One, we need to see a bit more out of.
I'm actually a little bit surprised to see Huss come out on the Widowmaker here. I think his McCree on Lighthouse is a fantastic pick. He's shown up time and
He's got him in his back pocket.
Just dominating from the verandas in front of the point here. But the Widowmaker, well, it's you know, a little bit more fragile, but he can certainly do the damage with it.
It's certainly fragile to Blue if Blue can find the correct angle to get the flank onto Huss. Also has to be careful from the opposing rockets from 1 as well, but otherwise CKM should have the advantage in this duel in the air because he's got Huss on the ground backing him up. That being said, tanks to try and get onto Huss, but he's a little bit too slippery as a Spider, and Tongue going to punish Nexus out, and with that, Crazy's down as well. You got to think for Blank, this has to be an early cap, and we've seen what Blank can do with early caps on Control maps.
We absolutely have. I love the way that Blank just reeled Nova Esports in there. Because they've got the Widowmaker, because they've got that long-range damage, that forces Nova Esports to go to them. If Blue's not doing a lot of damage in that time, then Blank, they've got all that peel. We see Huss get the heals, and they just manage to eliminate the tank and just get through them.
It's a tough place for Nova Esports to be as well. Currently, they are maybe over-respecting Huss. Not a great map for a Widowmaker. He hasn't even realistically hit great shots so far outside of this one. I just said it, and then he got himself a kill. But prior to that, he had not done that much damage, and still, Nova Esports were very interested in keeping him shut down. Currently, though, Huss, despite getting that kill, it did come back as a res. Nova still very much want to take Huss down, and now suddenly 1 can feel comfortable, and Blue, he's feeling himself too.
Yeah, they really nailed that dive. You saw Huss, he was getting heals from all sides there, but it still wasn't enough. Tongue even pulling out the Transcendence here. If he manages to stall out the point a little bit longer with that, it will be a good use of it. Nova not able to take it yet.
Yes, Huss.
He's coming back in, and if he gets a couple more, they still might be able to turn this around.
Well, double support ults did get used by Nova Esports right now, and Tongue is going to play the Battle Zen. Kura's going to play the Battle Mercy, and with the supports getting bloodthirsty onto this first point, Blank Esports are collecting a decent number of kills, over 60% now in terms of progress. Nova nearly capped it through, but nearly does not count as a cap, and that means Blank will continue to tick up progress.
Here we go, we're back at Lijiang Night Market again. Blank will not give up the point. They want this, and they want it so bad. You can see them pouring back in. They don't care how many members they're down. They're still going to pull it off somehow. 1 pick from Huss, a little bit of stall from the tanks and the healers coming out, and they've got all the way back into this, 82%, and they still haven't given up the point.
This is dangerous now for Nova Esports because we are into final fight territory. If they're not careful, they're not going to get another attempt right now, and 1's not going to get another attempt.
That's
Crazy probably has to go for the res, and he will risk his own life doing so. In that instance right now, nearing 100%, nearing the overtime, Nova Esports going to make something happen quick.
There is no way 1 was getting away with that. Huss does not let him. We go into overtime, and Tongue has the high ground. He's trying to take that Mercy out. We see the Discord Orb being used to good effect there. Crazies will go down. This is a fantastic start to the fight for Blank.
They've got a lot of kills right now. There is some response coming through for Nova Esports, but it's not going to be the Rocket Barrage.
No barrage.
Huss has 1's number. Kora gets Trill back in, and for Blank Esports, nearly Primal Rage. Trill, the big member that can really swing this further for Blank, and I say further because Blank already got the this under control. Nova Esports are already struggling, and no one can do anything about it on their side. Blank 1-0 up on Ilios, and one map closer to finishing the series.
Man, what a lot of momentum swings here tonight. Blank, they start off looking fabulous on Lijiang Tower. They crumble during the middle of this series, and just with that, the increased confidence they're going to get from having that full hold on Route 66 just flowing through here on Ilios. They've got 1 point left, AVRL, and they will take this series, and as we've said, very likely move on to the playoffs.
Nova Esports, though, they're going to make this one count, changing their composition, making some adaptations, and saying if CKM wants to play the Fire again, we will respond with McCree. If Huss wants to play the Widowmaker again, we will not play our own Farah. And this is how Nova Esports want to continue and possibly bring this back.
How many times have we seen huge McCree plays on Ilios? Well, it's a fantastic point to bring it out, and if you are hitting the shots, you will be rewarded on well. Let's keep an eye on one here and see how he does going up against CKM.
So far, CKM is the highest ult charge right now, actually second to Tongue, so things are looking pretty good for Huss. Double kill, double headshots, double DPS down. One being brought back into play, but it's going to be Blank with control over the point. You can see that red bar going through. Not quite capped out just yet. Nova Esports have learned since we've been to Night Market, but they're still so low right now. Tanks do not have HP. One barely has HP after now healing. Members still going down. The cap has gone through as well. Blank are in the lead.
Yeah, and you see the tanks get taken low down there by Nova Esports. So at that point, they can't get too far away from their healers, and Huss just has free reign. They've made all the space they need to do for him there. And Huss now with the Infrasight ready for this next point, it's only going to get harder to catch him from here.
I was saying on Lighthouse that Nova Esports were maybe over-respecting Huss, but currently with the kind of pressure he has, he demands the respect. Nova Esports has to give it to him. Blue has to try and hunt him down, but who's the hunter in this case? It's been Huss all along. Blue has been the prey, and he's going to make all of Nova the prey so far.
Yeah, that Venom Mine coming in very handy there. And just that one pick, look at that, that's forcing Nova back. They were essentially waiting for Blue to win that duel before they wanted to move in there onto the point. It doesn't go down, so they've just all got to move back. At least they haven't fed too much ult charge over to Blank at this point. But with Kura, Trill, CKM, almost everyone on Blank here ready to come up with their next round of ultimates and a couple of early pickoffs. What have Nova got to do here?
Well, Blue's had enough of this. He wants to take this Widowmaker duel in a 1 versus 1, but I'm not too sure this is the correct way to go. He's going to try and make the same amount of impact, but Huss has the better positioning. Huss is already onto the point. Blank have the better positioning as a team. The good news is Blue can maybe challenge CKM, but that is only one half the equation.
Yeah, he's being peppered with rockets right now. He manages to find his way onto the Widow Mine. If he can't get the grapple shots like we saw just before, what hope does he stand against a top-tier sniper like Huss?
Double support ultimates now coming through from Blank Esports, and Blue stands no chance against Huss, at least not in that duel. Trill's going to come back into the play. Nexus down to Pekka as well, and for Nova Esports, we're already into the 90% for Blank Esports, which means this is the final fight. Nova don't get a second chance right now. Nova's got to do or die, 99%. Somebody's got to touch the point. Somebody does eventually touch that point, but Nova, I don't think they're going to do it.
No, Trill looks like he might go down, but wow, the healing comes in so clutch there from Blank Esports, pushing back Nova. There's a couple of ultimates arriving, but with not many people left on the point, the Infrasight's not going to help you, Nova. 99-0 at the moment. Blank looking to take this home.
Looking to take it home soon if they can, but Nexus is going to try his best to remain in this game, keeping Nova in this game. The trades are starting to come up pretty much in favor of Nova Esports, so Nexus has done the job. Oyo Crazies as well, the supports, keeping him alive, allowing one to collect the kills to put themselves in a position where they can hold. But now the task ahead of them is monumental, a 0 to 99% deficit. Nova Esports have so much work to do.
If one can keep getting into the back lines like that, he might be able to pull this away for Nova Esports, but it's Huss he's had the problems dealing with so far, seeming to just cut him off as soon as he tries to get around the back of Blank. We see once again he's just hunting for this Tracer.
Well, it does get spotted out by Blue and Nexus as a result, and will go down early. So Blank Esports do have some time to play with, but can't afford to dilly-dally for too long. Have ultimates as well, they can't afford to waste these ultimates. Certainly the ultimate advantage would allow Blank to get one cap.
Stick goes nowhere.
And one, yeah, you're right, Pulse Bomb didn't do enough work for Blank Esports, losing one member. They will be able to respawn, potentially look for their final engagement.
Yeah, a couple of ultimates coming online now for Blank Esports. They've made their way onto the point very well. You see Blue just getting battered here. It seems like he's barely been a factor in this Ilios fight at all. One is the only person on Over Esports doing all that damage. And Trill, he's just battered them into the corner. And it looks like this is the prime time now for Blank to come back and take the series.
And cool guys don't look at environmental kills as Oyo went off the side there. Doesn't even quite have the sound barrier. So clutch kills coming out at clutch times for Blank Esports. And more ultimates becoming available as we speak. One, though, does get himself a kill onto Huss, and finally Oyo reconnecting with the
sound barrier.
Does get the sound barrier into effect. One has been the hero so far for Nova. One has been the one to continue to allow them to get kills.
Double.
Carroll with the response, but I'm not too sure it's going to be enough. It is impressive, but not good enough right now for Blank.
It might just allow enough Blank Esports members to get back onto the point. I think I see a Winston coming here. The Trill is coming in. Huss just manages to tap the overtime here onto the point. CKM, if he can get back in time with the barrage, he might be able to make something happen. At least Tung wins that duel.
He's going to have to win a couple of others. Bam, Blue with the visor at exactly the right time when he needed it as well. CKM caught with his pants down in the air. Not quite over though. Blue now, no more visor to play with. Trill's angry again, and he's looking for a win. He's hungry for it. He's angry about it. He wants to settle the score. Blank want to settle the score, and it isn't being settled right now. 99% on both sides. The overtime ticking down so quickly. Where is Nova Esports? Can they even get back to point on time? Look at that ticker. It's not having much left to do in this game, and Blank Esports pull it out of the bag. Look at that. 3-2 finish for Blank Esports. Right at the penultimate moment as well. Again, 99-99 on both sides. And Nova made that one a competition.
99-99, Abel, but here we got the environmental kills coming up from Kura. Look at that. Straight into the well. See you later, boys. I mean, mind blown. Okay, 99-99 there. And the point flipped, what was it, 2 or 3 times? And if it didn't flip, it was the momentum in the team fight that was flipping, right? The fact that it looked like both teams were poised to take out well there, and then all of a sudden just hero plays coming through, and both teams getting back into it once, twice, 3 times. It was anybody's game there, and that's just such a fantastic effort for Blank to take it out and take the series 2-0 there on Ilios.
It was so hard fought as well. We've got to go back to every single map and consider, look, no map seemed realistically that easy. Even Lijiang Tower, look, Nova Esports coming back through on that control center had a real good go at it, similar to what we saw just on Well Now. Now Blank, they win these control maps off the back of some very decisive and very well-placed kills to open these fights up and get this early lead. They've had the early lead in terms of control and progress every single time on all 4 stages across both these control maps. And that's something that unfortunately just does not go in the favor of Nova Esports. So you've got to commend Blank for being able to get such decisive advantages on these 2 maps. In the middle there, Blank did struggle on King's Row and Temple of Anubis, but Route 66 was that turning point that allowed them to get to map 5.
Yeah, and you saw the glimmers of hope starting there in Temple of Anubis, where they had that great first defense. Unfortunately, they don't convert onto the second point defense, but then it comes through in full force in Route 66. And Ilios really, I mean, I shouldn't have counted them out of that last fight, right? Because they've shown us how great they are in those scrappy fights on control. They just keep coming and they will never stop.
And I've got to commend Nova here as well, because they had some pretty standout plays. We talked about one, we've talked about Blue, we've talked about Shiki, but going into Ilios in the final sort of moments there, one coming through as the Tracer, finding so many picks, finding so much space to work with after being shut down for the majority of the game. I think One and Blue had a really tough time. Blue was playing most of the Tracer duties, and both players, when they were on Tracer, were having a bit of a tough time. Blue then coming back himself as the soldier, and we're thinking here, maybe this doesn't really work out. Finds attack visor at the right time, shuts down CKM, shuts down Blank, starts to get things under control. And you really believe maybe Nova forces us to ruins. And that would have been a pretty exciting ending, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, just theory crafting it. Obviously, Huss was winning the Widow battles. I think that definitely might have given Blank the edge there on Ruins. But hey, they don't need it.
And that's the thing, right? Maybe we got a ruins and maybe it doesn't matter for Blank. It certainly would have maybe shaken Blank somewhat to know that Well was so winnable and they kind of gave that one up at the final hour. But again, I think Blank had it under control when we went to Ilios, and with that, with a 3-2 win, Blank's season is not over just yet. Nova's season not looking too good, but they're still into this one. We're going to go for a break. When we come back, more action in Overwatch Contenders Pacific will continue. We'll see you soon.